Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to say call halal Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem, Rakah Kodash. We send double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone. We send much peace, love, and salutations to your Akim out there pushing the word of Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, sincerity and truth. This is Brother Ariala. And on this lesson, I want to talk about beware of being over righteous or biting off more than you can chew, especially when you're dealing with your elders or the heads of the camps. You want to be mindful and watch out for doing too much, being over righteous, biting off more than you can chew, and putting yourself in a position where you can be offended. So this is going to be a quick mindset lesson, and Lord willing, it's edifying. Now, there's a lot of situations that happen in this truth where you might be a younger brother, and you might be there's an expectation of charity, working with one another, helping each other, and it's a beautiful thing. The scriptures talk about that, but you don't want to overburden yourself trying to be over righteous and saying yes to things that you are really not capable of, So, even though here in 1 Peter 4:8 it says, above all things have fervent charity among yourselves, for charity shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. What happens is brothers put themselves in a position to be hospitable, but really they don't have the resources to maintain that level of hospitality, and they don't say anything. And so then you end up using hospitality with grudging. All right. And you're mumbling and you're grumbling because you really said kind to something that the situation really didn't fit the circumstances that you could meet with. So you have to be open and honest and upfront when these situations happen, man. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. If brothers is uptight and it might sting a little bit to hurt them, to help them. Of course, we want to do our best to help brothers. We're not going to just close our hand, close our fist to the brothers. But you don't want to overreach yourself and then put yourself in a precarious situation, and over time you're getting destroyed, So you have to be mindful of these things as you navigate. Of course, we want to have charity and help brothers, but you have to understand the boundaries and limitations of what you got going on and spread it amongst other brothers. But whether it be opening up your house for brothers to come and have class, or have events, or maybe it's a situation where a particular brother is just asking you in particular for help. Now, the way we set things up is, if someone needs help, it's dispersed amongst the camp. So nobody in particular is taking on a hit, and we encourage Akim to, have a treasury, and to continue to fill it, over each month. That way, if something significant happens, you have a pot to go into to help Akim out. So you want to have these things set up and be mindful. Here in Proverbs 25:16, it says, "Has thou found honey? Eat so much as is sufficient for thee, lest thou be filled therewith and vomited." You find something good. You're doing things within this truth, but you want what's sufficient for you, man. You don't want to overreach yourself with certain duties and responsibilities. I like to use the situation where, okay, let's say an elder or someone that's got rank over you, so to speak. Right? He's asking you to do something. Maybe it's, which this probably won't happen, but hey, man, can you help me put a down payment on my car? Yeah, it's $1,000. I need help. And you only got like $300-400 in the bank, right? But you want to be charitable. You done gave up $150. Because no, you gotta learn. You got to learn how to say, "Hey, man, I would love to, but I can't." You gotta a respectful no is better than a reluctant yes. Be mindful. You know, you might be dealing with a situation where you're dealing with an elder or a bishop or something like that. You have to be willing to be upfront and honest. You had a situation up in New York where one of the brothers that sat under the apostles and the bishops, you know, he did certain duties and helps and doing this and doing that and using much hospitality. But it turns out behind everybody's backs, he's mumbling and grumbling about it. He's complaining. He's feeling like maybe he's being taken advantage of. Well, how would someone know if you're being taken advantage of if you don't say anything? If you don't say, yeah, you know, it's stretching me out a little bit too thin, my work schedule, I can't do that. I really need to have this available so I can do these things. You have to be able to communicate. All right, brothers put themselves in bad situations because they being over righteous. Like it says in Ecclesiastes 7:16, be not righteous over much, neither make thyself over wise. Why shouldest thou destroy thyself? Right? Don't destroy yourself saying con to everything and taking on too much that you can handle. Make sure that you're communicating. You know, all hands are on deck in this thing, you know, and a lot of times brothers get in situations where they may be dealing with an elder and the elder is asking them something or doing something to where they feel uncomfortable, and they read this scripture, but they really don't understand that doesn't mean you can't say something back, man. That's not what they're saying, man. Just say be respectful. 1 Timothy 5:1 says, rebuke not an elder, but entreat him as a father, and the younger men as brethren. So we entreat our apostles and elders as fathers. How do you deal with your mother and father? You deal with your mother and father with honor and respect. Okay? But as a man, there might be circumstances and situations to where you might not agree with what your spiritual father is saying or doing. That's when you got to open your mouth and communicate. All right? That's where you have to be mature. Okay? So yeah, we check ourselves. We watch what we're doing. We're mindful of such things, you know. But we still have to move with a level of maturity. And as men, you don't want to just be a man pleaser. And then you put yourself in a situation where you feel like you being taken advantage of. Somebody duped you. No, you gotta open your mouth, man. Deuteronomy 5:16 says, honor thy mother and thy father as the Lord thy power hath commanded thee, that thy days may be prolonged, and that it may go well with thee. Okay, in the land in which your Lord, the Lord thy power giveth thee. Right, and that works the same with the apostles, bishops, elders. You want to move with a certain level of honor, decorum, and respect. Okay. You know, I just pulled out a few scriptures that talked about that. Okay. 1 Peter 5:1, we have got this. It says, the elders which are among you I exhort, who am also an elder, right? And witness of the suffering of Hamashiach, and also a partaker of the glory that shall be revealed. Feed the flock of the Most High which is among you, taking the oversight thereof, not by constraint, but willingly, not for filthy lucre, but of a ready mind, neither being lords over the Most High's heritage, but being examples to the flock. Okay? And so this is the mindset that the elders and bishops display. That's why you see them toil and work and everything like that. That's why, you know, for some period of time, you even had the bishops traveling amongst the different state camps, teaching, giving examples of how it was at the old school, upgrading the camp, so to speak, and how we move. All right. But as you get around men, what do you find out? You find out they're men. You know. So the brothers have to learn how to operate and move and communicate with one another. All right. Mm-hmm. It says, and when the chief shepherd shall appear, he shall receive a crown of glory that fadeth not away. Likewise, ye younger, submit yourselves unto the elder. Yea, all of you be subject one to another, and be clothed with humility. For the Most High resisteth the proud, and giveth grace to the humble. All right. And so if you are have an opportunity to be around, maybe you're around an apostle or one of the bishops or different elders, you want to be mindful of how much you're talking and what you're doing and what you got going on, man. All right. You don't want to put yourself try to put yourself up on a pedestal of being on that level, because you don't even realize you're biting off more than you can chew. Okay. We have to be smart about this thing. We have to be spiritual in the way we move. Sirach 7:4 says, "Seek not of the Lord preeminence, neither of the king the seat of honor." And that's what happens. That's what happens. We see this all the time. You might have a brother that's, basically sitting at the feet of one of the apostles, one of the bishops, kind of like handling things for them or with them. And then over time, there's a level of pride pops up, kind of like a squire with a knight. We've seen these things, man. You want to watch out for that. Be careful of biting off more than you can chew. All right. Skipping down on this. Verse 14 says, "Use not many words in the multitude of elders, and make not much babbling when thou prayest." So, it's best to be humble, man. Lowly. Chill. You deal with what you can handle. You deal with what you can do. But if you feel like if something is coming in and it's taking you over the edge, you have to be able to communicate. I mean, you don't want to be no hoe ass nigga where you just saying no to everything. That's just ridiculous. But you have to understand there's a balance to everything, okay? And we just move with humility. Don't bite off more than you can chew on this thing, because what happens? Then you start to have a grudge. Then you start to be offended. Then you start to point the finger at brothers. Then you start making up stories why somebody's wicked. And you done made a whole story in your head. Why this person ain't right. Oh yeah, this person, why this person needs to be judged. You just got to be mindful of not being in that spirit and biting off more than you can chew. Okay? Galatians 6:1 says, "Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such a one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted." Okay, so if you see somebody that's might be an elder that has a fault. Well, as you deal with it, man, just understand what would happen to you if you was in that situation. Because the Most High will turn things around on you if you don't have a gentle mind of mercy. "Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Hamashiach Yahushua. If any man think himself to be something when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself. But let every man prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone, not in another." Right? So we just got to be mindful of the circumstances and situations that's within the camps, man. If you're dealing with the elders, you're dealing with brothers that have higher rank over you, of course, you want to help and do this. If some, and make sure that you fighting for the kingdom of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. But you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you can't fulfill, and then you start blaming everybody else because you bit off something that you couldn't chew and you didn't want to say nothing. Don't do that. That's not everybody else's fault. Okay? And if you are in the midst of the apostles and the bishops, have a mindset of humility. Don't get too big for your britches thinking you're on the level, because you might hear certain conversations that they be having or be around certain things that other brothers are not privy to. And so now you thinking that you just, big dog. You got to keep a humble mind in this thing. Okay? So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that, a little bit of mindset, and Lord willing, that was edifying. With that being said, I'm gonna say, call hello Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua by Hashem Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, bishops, great millstone. Much peace, love, and salutations to Yakim out there pushing the word of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, sincerely and true. Shalom.